So you work for a country that decides to impose tariffs to apply pressure on other countries. Is it a good idea? Let's find out. So in a separate video, talked about the main uses of tariffs. Generating tax revenue, because tariffs are inherently an import tax, or to try to promote businesses to produce things within your own country to protect your local industries. Those are the two main reasons. But you could also think about it as using this to apply pressure on another country to either get better trading agreements or to have them deal with a border crisis that doesn't necessarily exist, whatever. You can use tariff measures to try to influence another country's decisions and actions. The problem with that is that in this process, the other country's not going to deal with this well. They're not going to be happy to be imposed a tariff, to be told what to do. And although one country may be larger than the other, have more power in terms of negotiations, which could lead to a situation where, if we think of the gains from trade, a topic that's been looked at in our microeconomics class, well, through that gains from trade, there is a situation where both kind of equally gain from that trade, a good agreement that everyone gains. But you could try to work your way to gaining more than the other country. The problem with that is if you start trying to push to getting better deals, well, that other country that feels like they're getting pushed around, bullied, will try to find other trading partners. And once again, you're isolating yourself through this process, which is not good. And to apply, whether it's to apply tariffs, to apply pressure, or to correct trade imbalances, well, that applying pressure part is not that great in the sense that if you do this to apply pressure, you're just trying to impose tariffs for a certain amount of time to negotiate a better deal or to have them do something at the border. But in the process, you're annoying this other country. They're not going to want to do business with you anymore. And they're going to apply countermeasures. And then everyone gets hurt from that. And the same thing goes with trying to fix trade imbalances. Well, obviously, if you're a country who exports less than you import from another country, you could think, well, we're going to impose import tariffs on these goods so that we import less. And all of a sudden, we're going to have more balanced trade or potentially a trade surplus. But that completely disregards that as soon as you do this, the other country is going to do the same thing on your goods. And as that happens, you might reduce your imports from the other country, which would on its own favor your trade balance. But as this other country buys less of your goods, it's going to hurt your trade balance. And at the same time, there's two parts to it. If we look at what's happening between the States and Canada, and can happen over time because this video will last longer than what's happening right now. But there's the impact of tariffs where goods that become more expensive you'll buy less of. But if Canadians are annoyed by what Americans are doing to trying to apply this pressure, well, they might stop buying some of the goods altogether. They might think, well, we don't need these goods anymore from the States. We're going to buy locally. It's not because of this tariff. It's not because of the 25%. We're actually taking it off the shelves. We're no longer selling American products at the liquor store. We're no longer dealing with these American products. And all of a sudden, the hurt on the US can actually be greater than the hurt on Canada. Because the Americans that are imposing this at first just look at it from a price standpoint. Things are more expensive. I'll buy less of that. I'll buy more local, or I won't buy it anymore, just based on price. The Canadians, on the other hand, that are adopting these countermeasures will look at the price for those goods, yes, but they'll also think, these other goods I could afford. Well, why would I buy these products? This country's doing everything to try to hurt our economy and try to go to economic war with us. Why would we encourage them? let's buy from elsewhere instead. Let's buy a Japanese car instead of an American car. Let's buy these other products from other countries. And in that situation, all of a sudden, this initial tariff that the US introduces to try to help their trade balance might actually make it even worse. I wouldn't be surprised that over time, you can have a greater trade surplus in Canada than before. So something to keep in mind. So once again, to look at the short-term possible gains of tariffs, yes, if you just look at no reaction from the other country, it seems like a really good instrument to use. But when you consider everything else, not so good. And in a separate video, I could look at the game theoretical aspect of this. Through repeated games, repeated negotiations, we can achieve cooperation through the years between different countries or different companies that might act as a cartel together because they find that it's beneficial over time. But as soon as one individual or one country backstabs the other and does that to get a short-term gain, defects, as we call it in game theory, well, as soon as that happens, this other country is going to have trouble building trust again with you. And in this process, it's going to lead to both countries kind of doing their own thing a little bit more, and it's going to lead to losses over time. So you always have to consider that if you're trying to get the short-term gain, over time, you might end up losing more. So just a few things to consider when we think about tariffs. There's all of the different goals about them, but there's definitely a lot of potential problems, and those should be considered. And I hope those future politicians or current politicians watch this video. Have a great day. If you found this video interesting, please consider subscribing or joining my class where I guide you to apply and expand on the information found in these videos to real-life examples. Have a good day.